Hey guys, welcome to the finals of Pokemon Perfect's 2020 ADV Championship Tour. You guys, if you've been following up to this point, and I have brought you coverage since the round of 8, should know who's here, but for review, it is the Thelinearcurve against Kael on this alt that I have been unable or unwilling to pronounce the whole time I've been narrating these games. Quite the interesting story here. This is quite the contrast. We have Linear, who at this point is the universally accepted best ADV player in the world, has been by far the most dominant ADV player this year, yet again, winning Kalos Invitational 4 and being the first seed rather, on Pokemon Perfect after winning, I think, 2 different tours and just by far having the most points in the category. He's been the wire-to-wire favorite and most likely winner throughout this whole thing. On the other end, Kael has been around forever. His activity has dipped in and out. He's had a very lengthy career. He's played SPL a million times. He disappears for months, sometimes years at a time. He comes back, he disappears again. In his most recent stint back, he's been back for quite a while. It's been over a year straight of him actively playing, and certainly I like Kael and always have, and I hope that continues. And really, he hasn't lost a step. If anything, he's better than ever. You could criticize maybe his teams are sometimes on the gimmicky side, or at least on the unconventional side, if you view the word gimmicky as a derogatory term, which I don't necessarily. But as a whole, Kael's creativity, as well as clearly an ability to be a great pilot and make plays, has gotten him really, really far. And now, if he can slay the end boss in Linear, he's going to be the winner of the $100 first prize and also get the coveted golden version of the trophy as opposed to the palette swapped silver version that we're going to be giving the other guy. Very important. Alrighty, so here is game 1 in their championship best of 3. Again, Linear on the bottom, and this dude with a weird thing on the top is Kael. So Linear's going to lead T-Tower against Metagross. These are 2 of the 3 most common leads in the game. Missing good old Zapdos, and Meteor Mash is going to come down for Meta as it stays in. It misses on Rachi, not that it would have done a lot, but there's a wish just in case, perhaps anticipating an Earthquake. So, Leech Seed and Body Slam, respectively, 60% chance to find Para. Doesn't. Linear going to get out of here, nothing else to do. And he's going to go to Articuno. Okay. And we see HP Grass from Celebi, but man, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a competitive Articuno. And yet, the second I saw Articuno, I figured it would be paired with Spikes. No shock. There it is. There's some Spikes, and he's going to get those down against a Lax that is beginning to curse up. Linear is not going to be able to do this forever. What the fuck is this team from Linear? Now we have a Gyarados coming in for Intimidate on Curse. I'm not sure what we're looking at here. This might be... That actually might be a defensive Gyarados of some kind, whether it's Rest Talk or it's defensive with a Roar or whatever. And this might be a Roar T-Tower that we're about to see as well. I think this is actually... It may look weird on paper with the Pokemon that have been shown, but I think this is actually a pretty stally team that Linear is busting out here. And indeed, it is Roar Tar. This is a good opportunity for Kael to spin. I think Gyarados is going to have to get out of the way, being afraid of Thunderbolts, so I think you can get a free spin-off here. And Kael agrees. He does get a spin-off and get rid of the spikes, so that's going to leave us with no hazards for either player. It doesn't look like Kael is going to have hazards. It just seems like a very classically balanced M-Dragon 2012-esque kind of team. Here's Body Slam and Recover. There is a Para this time. Starmie has Natural Cure, but there's obviously the potential for a poorly timed full Para to come down. None of that. Out of the way. Here's Celebi. That avoids Para. Last time it was in, it just went for Leech Seed, though that could invite a free switch into Fori. And keep in mind, we know that Celebi does not have HP Fire. It has HP Grass. We already saw that on Articuno. But Linear instead is going to go to T-Tire, and he's going to pass the Wish along with it. So it is still paralyzed, but back up to a hundo. And it's going to opt for Crunch here, which is a pretty nice chunk on the meta, who does not have lefties. So little chip damage there adding up. Gyro reappears, gets Intimidate off on the Lax, so maybe discourages it from boosting. It could fish for Para here with Body Slam. I don't like it for this reason, though. You could just go to 4E, get up 3 layer, 2 up, and then you could just go to T-Tar again. but they're both content. It's going to be spikes and curse, so that's just going to bring him back to the normal attack stat, but it does give Kael a defense boost, because remember, Intimidate earlier from the Gyra. So here's another curse, and so far the Lax has not indicated that it has Earthquake here. I'm not sure why he cursed. Should have just attacked, I think. I guess he knew it wasn't going to be a roar. It is just Crunch, a very underwhelming Crunch. And the Lax actually does have Earthquake, so Kael with a lot of discipline to hide that for as long as he did. So if Linear has Gengar as the last poke, which he definitely could, that actually makes quite a bit of sense. It doesn't have to be Gengar, but it very well could be. Then that Gengar is going to be safe, presumably, from the Lax. We haven't actually seen the last move. It could not be Rest, but I've been operating the whole time that it is, in fact, Rest. It could just be like last move Boom or Shadow Ball, but I think Rest is the most likely possibility. And here comes my Milotic. So we do, in fact, have a balanced team. Actually, I recently built a team not exactly like this, but very similar to this. It reminds me of it. It gives me the same vibes, and I've been having some success with it. But who cares about me? Back to the game. It's a full para from Milo. We don't know if he has refresh or not. Maybe that was the turn in which he was going to try it. Starmie going to sneak in here and immediately sniped by Linear. Knew that was coming. Straight HP bug as opposed to spiking up. Baited Kael into doing that. Caught him. And that's a big loss for Kael. Now any spikes that come down are going to be there to stay. Though there are none right now. And there is a DD here. So there's multiple dangerous setup pokes for Kael. He does miss a Rock Slide. I don't think it does a ton against Fori here. Has to be careful about getting boomed on. But he is Dragon Dancing up. He's going to go aggro, and he's going to be met by Hidden Power Bug, which is who cares. But of note, this is a DD Mence without leftovers, which is quite unusual. We're looking at a DD Lum here. There's a second DD, and there's a crit for the knockout. Linear going to have to respond to a very boosted Salamence here. Protect, sure. And Rock Slide, does he not have Earthquake, or does he anticipate the Articuno coming in there? Here's Gyra, and now he goes for Earthquake. So Linear is outmaneuvering Kael right now and sand stalling him out. The fact that he does not have leftovers right now is coming back to bite him. He would have had a lot more durability, and he would have been able to survive that if he had the more traditional leftovers. So this is the drawback for going for something like a Lumberry, which is what I assumed that he had, on your DD Mence. That exact situation that we just saw. Linear, with some nice maneuvering, was able to sand stall the Salamence out and avert the crisis. He otherwise could have, if that had lefties, he could have been swept by that. Kael very well may have won with that DD Mence if it had leftovers. But it didn't, and now this game is looking pretty bleak, I think, for Kael. Clear 5-4 Pokemon advantage for Linear, and he hasn't shown his last, though I do suspect that it's Gengar. And in Kael's case, I mean, there's just, what do you have to be happy about right now? You are down a poke, you're down hazards. And yeah, he's going to swing and a miss here as well. Maybe the body slam there could have caught the Gyara for the KO and evened up the game, but instead he whiffs on Earthquake, and the Gyarados gets the wish. And like I've said all along, the last poke is absolutely going to be Hariyama, and here it is for Linear. That's going to actually make it even worse, because now we know that the Lax is definitely not a win condition for Kael anymore. You can't even set that up, because the Hariyama is just going to come in, going to knock him off, going to smack him around both sides of the hand with a Brick Break. There's just no chance that the Lax can win the game. So if Kael's plan this whole time has been to go to last poke Lax, that's out the window, and now I don't know what the plan is. Linear with great discipline to hide the Hariyama as long as he did, to give Kael the hope, the game plan that he can go down to last poke Lax and win that way. But now we know that he can't. And I don't know how we can win now. Milotic is not a win con. It just isn't. Celebi in this instance, I mean, we've only seen the two moves. I guess, in theory, it could be the last two moves. Calm Mind and Recover, but I really doubt it. If he were that set, it would still be very difficult, because it makes his only attacking move HP Grass, which is going to really be difficult with the Rachi and the Articuno on the other side. I don't think that would even get there, and I don't think it's that set. And really, that just leaves the Metagross, who again, like the Salamence, does not have lefties. Now, it might be justified in this case. We might be looking at a choice bander. We don't know. We've only seen that opening Meteor Mash that missed, so we truly don't know what the Metagross is. But if it's just a CB Gross, that's not going to get the game done either. It could be like a Jill Alum, which might be his best bet in this case, but he would need basically insta attack raise and just some good luck. You need good rolls on the things that he gets hit by, or maybe Linear needs to miss some stuff, maybe full para. It would definitely require some hefty luck, probably 2 immediate attack raises, and then just everything going perfectly. And I don't know if at 59%, if he has the really truly would have the time to even set that up. It would have to be Linear opting to, instead of just attack it, use some status move on it, basically wasting a turn and popping the Lum, and then Kael sets up. And I'm just going to give Linear, who, like I said, is the best ADV player in the world, credit that he's probably not going to make that mistake and identifies that he should simply attack the Metagross. So with all that being said, we're going to continue to go through the motions, and this is getting to what would be considered probably a mid to long as far as length ADV game. We are crossing turn 64. Not unheard of, but it's on the lengthy side compared to the average, and it's going to obviously take a little longer unless there's a concession. We are not super close to everything going down here, but I'm having a really hard time from this position envisioning Kael winning. I think Linear will take this game pretty handily, and certainly it is Kael's prerogative to go through the motions. Linear's team wins very slowly, does not seem to have a proper win condition unless it actually is DD Gyra this whole time, which, I mean, it could be. I'm not sure. This is a very, very defensive, stall-oriented team for Linear. A weird one. He's got Articuno, he's got Spikes with no Ghost. It's a weird team, but it's very stally for Linear. Now, there is a knockout here. The T-Tar was already on its deathbed, had been saved a couple of times from Wish, but not this time. So down that goes. We do have a 4-4. It probably looks closer than it is, but just knowing the tier and just understanding how these matchups play out in the long term, I'm telling you this game is actually not that close, even though it does look like it's even at 4-4. It's actually really far from even. This is like one of the least close 4-4 situations I've ever seen. This is actually overwhelmingly likely to go Linear's way. I don't want to miss that Toxic. Gyra did get hit on the way in with Toxic from the Milo. Linear had stayed in to allow a Toxic on the Rachi, and then he doubled back and said, alright, you're not going to Toxic again, I'm going Gyarados. But Kael predicted him and did get it off. Now, if this is a DD Gyra, so like DD taunt to attacks or DD3 attacks, then that Toxic matters a lot. If it is just a bulky rest Gyra, which I've been suspecting this whole time, I think this team is just pure stall, pure defense for Linear, then the Toxic actually doesn't matter at all. The Gyra's going to have rest and just not give a shit. I'm not clear yet which it is. You can argue either way. Defensive Gyra definitely has merit on this team for Linear. And on the flip side of that, is this team kind of do nothing? Does this team not have anything even close to an offensive threat or a win condition and could benefit from a traditional DD Gyra? It sure could. As it turns out, it's rest. Now, it could be rest DD. It could be rest DD 2 attacks. We don't know. We've now seen Hidden Power, presumably flying, I believe. If I look back, I think it's flying and rest, and we have not seen the other two moves, so we're not positive on the Gyra set yet, but we're starting to get a general idea. There's Brick Break on the way in. Meta maybe blows up here, yeah, and Linear has to pick the victim, and he's going to let Articuno go. It was nice to see you, Articuno. It really has been too long. Thank you for coming over. Come again soon. But Articuno done for the day. So, there is the Leech Seed. That is going to connect with Gyra. Intimidate here doesn't matter unless we're looking at a Swords Dance passer, which does not seem to be the case. And here's the Rachi laughing at the Psychic that is freshly revealed from the Celebi. So I presume that the last move is Recover. So I think we're just looking at the boring traditional. I mean, hey, it's not exciting, but it's very effective. I like this set a lot. The Leech Seed, HP Grass, Psychic Recover, Utility Celebi. It does it all. It covers the thing defensively that it's supposed to cover. And yeah, it does what it does. It's interesting on Kael's team, just as like a weird structural thing. I'm not overly comfortable with this personally, but his only rock resist is the non-lefties Metagross, the presumably choice banded Metagross. We never actually did get definitive confirmation of that, but I do think it's banded. It's weird to me that the CB meta would be the only rock resist on a team. That does seem very vulnerable to things like a DD tar, things like an Aerodactyl would be an issue, I think. But I also, I really don't mind the philosophy of taking calculated risks in the builder. This team might be that much better against other things if you happen to not play against Aerodactyl or DD tar. Maybe your matchup against XYZ is that much better. I don't hate that. It's also possibly a very conscious strategic decision against Linear where you go, you know what, this guy's the best, this guy's better than me. I am not going to be able to cover everything. I have to just take risks in the builder, and if he has it, he has it. I don't hate that either when you're trying to beat a better player, or I could just be giving Kael too much credit top to bottom, and it could just be a team building mistake. I don't know, but it does stand out to me that the only rock resist on the team is the CB meta. That's a little awkward for me. So this game now is getting into lengthy territory, not absolute like size of my penis lengthy. I mean, nothing's that lengthy, but we are getting over 100 turns now, which compared to most ADV games is definitely on the long side. And there's an unfortunate full para that might speed things up. Kael's gonna not like that whatsoever. He went for rest, he says in the comments. Whether he did or didn't, I don't know, but this is certainly going to speed things up. Linear even offers, he's like, dude, if you rested there, I can legit just click protect here. I can click protect and you can go for rest and we'll call it good. Kael declines and that's going to be the concession. He has no chance to win without the lax. Now, granted, as we discussed, because the Hariyama that we know has both Brick Break and Knockoff, I don't think even with the lax he was probably going to win, but the Hari is getting lower and is paralyzed. Now, granted, the Rachi can wish to it and make it healthier, so there's that, but there's still the para that he can't get rid of unless he has rest. There's a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda here. I don't know that Kael would have won this game with the lax, even if things did not play out like that. I don't think it's guaranteed. Linear is saying in the comments that the Hariyama has both Whirlwind and Rest as the last two moves, so I think that would have been difficult, but not impossible for the lax. There's a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda in this game. Certainly with the body slam power and the full power happening there the way that it did, also a crit would have been good enough, so either or. But with it playing out the way that it did, there's zero chance. This is a non-premature concession for Kael. He has no chance to win once this sequence happens. Would he have won without it? I don't know. It's interesting to think about. I want to say probably not, but it is possible. Whereas this way, it's basically not possible. The game basically ends the moment this sequence occurs. So an interesting and a lengthy game one. 103 turns ends up being the final tally here. We are going to move to game two, of course, and this is a best of three. So to avoid spoilers as to what happens, we're going to do everything all one video, and you guys will see the outcome at the same time that I do and everybody else does, because I have not watched any of these games, so I don't know what goes down. Alrighty, here is game two. It is Linear and Kael once again. Kael still on blah, 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 and I understand this one, the linear curve. Here's the game. Linear on the bottom of the Salamence, and it's a lead 4-y. Kael just habitually likes doing this. He loves leading with the spiker, whether it's Cloyster or 4-y or Skarm, doesn't matter. He is a big spiker. Whoa now. Do I spy a Politoed in a with money on the line championship tournament? Do I spy a Politoed? Linear is a madman. Good luck predicting this guy in SPL or Callus Invitational or whatever. He will bring whatever the fuck he wants. What is this team for Linear? Politoed, Medicham, Regice? What is this team? Some mean look shenanigans happening. This is a go-to for Kael, the lead spiker with the bulky Parish Trap nonsense ghost in the back. This is vintage for both of these guys. This is Kael with his usual cheesy spike lead ghost nonsense, and this is Linear just like having too much Vegemite or whatever it is that you Australians get all nutty with. and just going off the rails with fucking Politoed, Medicham, and Regice. I don't know what I'm watching here. I know that I'm watching a Regice about to die to some BS, and he's going to blow up on the way out. It's going to hit Pert, fine, and here is Politoed. Yeah, baby. And there is the Hypnosis. Politoed has already done its job. Landed Hypnosis good enough. What is this? And I said Articuno was done for the day, but I lied. It is not done for the day. We have a second Articuno appearance here. What is happening in these finals? These are some of the weirdest games I've ever seen, especially this one. This is like a Funzy ladder game or something. This is for $100. For $100 cash money. During a pandemic, people could use that damn money. It makes a big difference right now for a lot of people to buy groceries. And in that situation, we are seeing Politoed, Medicham, Regice, Articuno. I have no idea what's happening. I've given up on figuring out ADV. I quit. But I am sitting here and enjoying the entertainment just as you guys are. I have no clue what the fuck I'm watching, but it's cool to watch. There's no T-Tar because that poke is way worse in ADV than something like a Politoed or an Articuno. So there's no sand, and the lax and other things are bulkier than they otherwise would be. Kael has repeatedly tried to find a para, a couple body slams, didn't get of course. Of course it's a last poke jump bluff. Why would it be something normal? With $100 on the line, we now have the full lineups. We have Politoed, Medicham, Regice, Articuno, and Jumpluff representing the upper echelon of ADV. Kael has not found the luck this game whatsoever. He hit 2 body slams, didn't para. He sleep powdered twice, didn't sleep. The RNG is not going his way, and I'm thinking that Linear is in pretty good position because of it. We've got ourselves a 4-4, but just regardless of what ends up happening with this game, this is fucking wild. And there's a burn, so Linear, the beneficiary of the better RNG this game. There's the knockout on the Articuno, but I just don't even care. This is wild. There's the outspeed and the Dragon Claw as the mean look comes down. I don't even know, guys. Protect. Dragon Claw, last one did 36%. So, should kill. 50-50 protect. Nope. Man, I wish Kael had gotten a little bit better RNG to make this go even longer than it did. We are at turn 34 here, but I just don't even know. What a game. This is, it's the Twilight Zone. There's no way that this is what I would have ever thought in a million years would come out of a grand final with $100 on the line, but here we are. This is one for the ages. I don't know if this is an all-time great, but it is an all-time memorable. I'm not going to forget about this game anytime soon. This is one of those ones where if I'm still on YouTube in 2023, 2024, I'm going to be able to look back and be like, do you remember that Politoed Articuno jump bluff bullshit? And, I mean, certainly some one-sided luck in this one. Like I said, 2 body slams, no paras, 2 sleep powder misses, and a burn on the Articuno. Linear caught a lot of breaks in this. It's obviously not to ever say that Linear couldn't beat anybody without luck, and he was up a game, but I don't want to downplay the luck either. Kael definitely on the bad end of it in this second game. But somehow, some way, one of these shitty teams had to win, and it turns out the shitty team of Linear is going to be the one. So he's going to take the set down 2-0. He is going to be the champion of Pokemon Perfect ADV in 2020. And he's going to take home $100, which is going to get him a whole lot of Vegemite to keep brewing up teams with Politoed and Medicham and Regice. What a world. If you guys enjoyed this as much as I did, and believe me, I enjoyed this, thumbs up and a comment. Please, a comment. I would love to know what you guys think of what we just witnessed. I'll see you guys in the next video.